Good morning, guys. It is just too nice outside for me not to start out here a little bit. And it's all going to tie in. At least I'm going to try to a little bit. But hey, we've got all these extra cameras. Why not get out of the truck and use it on such a beautiful day? So I'm hanging out here by Lake Fairview. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with anything following too closely? Well, I wanted to talk a little bit. One, what does the law say about following too closely? What is tailgating? And what does it cause? How can we avoid stuff like this? We need to drive home a fact. The fact of that a vehicle is a piece of machinery. A vehicle is not a toy. It's dangerous. There's nothing really comfortable on the outside of it. And when we are so close to somebody else, so many things can happen, right? So many incidents can happen. And if we are traveling in this vehicle and we are ultimately in control of it, we have to make the necessary preparations so that we can control it, meaning keeping that safe distance between the front of your vehicle and with whatever's out approaching it. We cannot always see what is down here, right? So as you increase that distance from whatever's in front of you, you ultimately increase your reaction time. And a lot of this is me trying to figure out a way to drive this all home so that it is purposeful, it is intentful while you're out there. Now, there are some very hard rules, and what Florida law says about following too closely, Florida Statute 316.0895, there are certain distance that are required for certain vehicles, but for the majority of vehicles, it is a very broad distance that we're supposed to keep from that vehicle. It says a safe and prudent distance that a driver must maintain so that they can operate their motor vehicle safely. Let's talk about that for one second here. When I was a full-time Florida Highway Patrol trooper working crashes as a road responding trooper, as a patrol unit, so often the number one excuse or the number one crashes that we work are what we call rear-end collisions or careless driving citations, which over the years, becoming educated and understanding the law and system, a lot of us started writing tickets for following too closely. A driver would argue that, right? Would be like, well, no, I wasn't following too closely. That car just stopped. Okay, let's revert back to what the law says. The law says you must maintain a safe distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Meaning, if a crash occurs, you were not following at a safe and prudent distance, especially if you're just moving in traffic and that vehicle suddenly stops and you strike that vehicle. We're not out there working 1,000 crashes at one time, right? We are working one crash because a driver failed to maintain a distance that was safe enough for them to react. I hope you're keeping up with me on this. So let's get back in the truck real quick here, because I do want to read the law a little bit to you so that you see what's going on. So in the law, it does indicate very key words within Florida Statute 316.0895. And I encourage you to check that law out and actually read it for yourself. I will include it in the web copy, or Google it right now while you're sitting here with me, because too often a lot of us will read the law, or we'll read what the law says, but not read everything inside of it. So we're going to do just that. So I wanted to read that to you before we hit the road and maybe show a few examples of what following too closely would be. So in 316.0895, I'm glad I got that right, it covers Florida law for following too closely. I'm going to read this very quickly to you so we can understand, and then we'll break it down, and then we'll go out on the street. So number 1, a driver of a motor vehicle shall not follow another vehicle more closely than it is reasonable and prudent, having due regard for the speed of such vehicles and the traffic upon and the conditions of the highway. Let's talk about that. Reasonable and prudent, having due regard for the speed. Pause. Okay? Residential area. We're driving in a 25, 30 mile an hour zone. Traffic's moving. It's going to be a different mentality than 417 at 70 miles an hour, Florida Turnpike at 70 miles an hour. Because out there, you would want extra following distance, about the 3-second rule, right? I like the 3-second rule because it's different distance based off of where you're located at. And the conditions of the road, okay? Beautiful day, like right now outside. I'm over here at Lake Fairview, just kind of hanging out so we can start this here in a non-busy area. It is beautiful outside right now. So that would be completely different than if it was pouring cats and dogs outside, right? So we've got to consider that. Number 2, subsection 2. It is unlawful for the driver of any, here we go. This is where I told you just outside, it differs for certain type of cars, right? It's unlawful for the driver of any motor truck drawing another vehicle, towing, or a vehicle towing another vehicle or trailer when traveling upon a roadway outside of a business or residence district to follow within 300 feet of another motor truck drawing another vehicle or vehicle. This is the type of stuff we see, I-4, heavy traffic, where those larger vehicles are intentionally keeping distance as that traffic is moving slowly. I'm saying this because it's not a buffer zone for us to be dodging in. And what do I mean by us? Us as the little cars out there. They, under subsection 2, have that requirement of 300 feet between them and another vehicle. We, in normal vehicles, are not required that. We're required a reasonable and prudent distance. So let's keep reading there. The provisions of this subsection shall not be construed to prevent overtaking and passing, now, nor shall the same apply upon any lane specifically designated to use by motor trucks or other slow-moving vehicles. What does that mean? Meaning, if that vehicle is passing, then that 300 buffer zone would not apply. If it's changing lanes, it would not apply. We're talking a flow of traffic, a flow of movement. We're maintaining our lane. If you're out there for some time and you're not planning to change lanes, then that's when that 300-foot rule would apply. Subsection 3, there's only 4. Motor vehicles being driven upon any roadway outside of the business residence district in a caravan or a motorcade, whether or not towing other vehicles, shall be so operated as to allow sufficient space between each such vehicle or combination of vehicles as to enable any other vehicle to enter or occupy such space without danger. This provision shall not apply to funeral processions. Okay. English, meaning if it is a convoy, some type of escorted, then obviously vehicles will be a little closer, but you're still required to keep the safe distance. Now, safe distance would still, or safe practice would still be required in a funeral procession. However, Florida law recognizes that those are much more contained through those areas. Here's the one. The consequences. Subsection 4. A violation of this section is a non-criminal traffic infraction punishable as a moving violation as provided in Chapter 318. All you need to know about that It is a ticket that comes with points that is over $160 here in our Central Florida area. So when you are traveling out and about, like let's look at the front of results 1. When you're out here, we're actually going to go drive because I think that's going to make a little bit more sense for this part of the explainer. When you're out and about, following too closely can lead to a lot of different things. The most common, crashes, right? Vehicle suddenly stops in front of me. I need to be able to react to that. Okay, I need to be able to stop and react. There are certain things that must coincide with that. Number 1, paying attention. You have to pay attention to what is going on around you. If you're not paying attention, I don't care what distance you have between you and another vehicle in front of you. How are you going to react if you're not paying attention? So, number 1, eliminate the distractions and pay attention. Vehicles in front of you. You should never be following so close that you have to slam on the brakes, that you have to divert yourself in a different direction. Man, that road is bumpy. So it's a full mind game, right? Just keeping a safe distance isn't going to fix everything. So when you are tailgating, you're running a big risk at crashing. But on the other side, you're also running into a risk of really pissing someone off, really setting someone's road rage into a place where it's unnecessary. You don't know what someone's triggers are going to be, and if you think them getting mad is kind of ridiculous, think about if someone was following you too close. I'm not going to change lanes because we're going to show you something. So when I'm in a vehicle, this is what I like. I'm going to line the camera up so you can see. That, to me, is a safe distance where I can still see the tires of the vehicle in front of me over my vehicle, meaning I can see the rear tires of whatever vehicle I'm behind at a complete stop. Why am I doing this? 1, it's rude to be so close to somebody. 2, if I get impacted from, say, the rear here, and that car was coming and struck me with such force that all of a sudden my vehicle began to slide forward, there's a good chance I may not hit this white truck. So I'm taking care of me, and I'm taking care of the driver in front of me. Now, something not every mind thinks of. I am a totality of circumstance kind of thinker. I am nonstop thinking about what is happening around me, no matter what. It's exhausting. Some people think it's weird. However, I like it. So for me, number 3 in this is situational awareness. I'm at a traffic light. I have space between me and the vehicle in front of me. What does this allow? This allows me an escape route, right? Say all of a sudden, someone approaches my car. Someone is trying to get into my vehicle. It's not just about preventing a crash. It's also about giving you a good buffer zone. Having that space around you in where you're driving safely, you're not irritating anybody, you're reducing your chances of a crash, and if a violent situation was to occur, for example, carjacking, and a road rage type incident that you are choosing not to interact with, you can remove yourself from that situation because you have kept the distance in front of you. Now, we're traveling here. This is going to be I think we're in a 45 mile an hour zone. I'll know more here in just a second. So a 50 mile an hour zone. Okay. So we're in the 50. We're traveling. I think I have a very good distance between me and this Tundra in front of me. But look up ahead. That vehicle, that pickup truck, and that van, why? Why do we need to be so close that I would not be able to fit another car there? Also, you just never know what's going to happen if a vehicle suddenly brakes. We're actually rolling up on a crash up here, it appears. There is a crash. Orlando Police Department here. We're coming up to the intersection, I think, of Cinder Lane. And you just really never know what's going to happen. So you can see Orlando Police out working this crash here. And look at that. Rear end collision right here on camera. This does not happen unless someone's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you have a safe distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, that Ford pickup truck that you see in the back of that Ford Expedition, this crash probably would not have occurred. But these type of crashes are the number one crashes that I've worked. And it's because someone does not keep a safe distance between them and the vehicle in front of them, let alone everybody else. These type of drivers do have other patterns that happen. It's unfortunate for them, but lucky for us that we could show this type of example. And I can guarantee you that driver is going to receive one of two tickets. One, either careless driving, failure to stop your vehicle for an obstruction ahead, or following too closely, failing to keep a safe distance between you and the other vehicle without resulting in a crash. And you're looking at it right there. That's what happens. Their day's ruined because of minor stuff, guys. Minor stuff. So you need to be super cautious while out and about. So I live off the 3-second rule. Solid 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. At almost any speed, it's going to be majority of 30, 45 mile an hour or more. That really plays a good factor in. If you saw while we were driving over here, me and that truck had a really good safe distance. We had a solid 3 seconds where 2 to 3 other cars could have easily been commuting between us. That's not a space for other drivers to pull in. That is a space for us. I say us, you, even them, to be traveling together. We all should have a bubble, but that bubble should kind of weave and dive a little bit. It is the ultimate way in keeping safe. So keeping a safe distance doesn't mean that distance stays the same all the time. High speeds. I drive I-4 every single day, and depending on what time of day I drive I-4, it could really be 3 to 4 car lengths. It could be a car length, and weather conditions change that as well. But if you're looking for an answer of what the safe distance should be, it should be a solid 3-second distance between you and whatever vehicle is out in front of you. By doing so, you're ultimately going to eliminate a lot of turmoil, whether it's arguments out on the road, whether it's a crash, whether it's your gas will get better because you're not braking and accelerating as much. So many different levels of things occur once we all start pretty much doing the right thing. I love when people are like, well, this is a problem. Yes, it is. But look what you were doing beforehand. You were so right up on them. You could also be cited for aggressive driving. If you're speeding, if you're changing lanes, if suddenly you're following so close and then a law enforcement officer is able to witness those violations, that's big trouble, y'all, and you don't want that. So we're going to come back out here to Orange Blossom Trail and see what we can see on our way back towards the metro area. Gosh, it is so beautiful outside today. Well, see, like that matrix behind us here, good distance even at a stop. You should never be right up on a car in front of you at a stop. What we were just talking about a second ago. You want to have that possible escape route. you want to eliminate the possibility of being hit from behind and then being pushed to whatever might be in front of you. Imagine if that matrix hit me so hard that next thing you know, I'm out in the intersection. Or if there was a car here, God forbid, I got hit and then pushed a car out into the intersection. And I wasn't hit, but the force caused another vehicle to go out there. It's not all about us, it's about what we are doing and how ultimately it can influence other drivers that have nothing to do with us. So we're back here southbound Orange Blossom Trail, city of Orlando, right here at the intersection of Winter Rose Drive. And that's that crash up ahead. You can kind of see it off to the left, the flashing lights in the median. But again, if you're keeping a safe distance, then crashes like that, I can promise you, will not happen. So like here, vehicle in front of me. One, look at the Ford to the left, okay? The Ford to the left over the stop bar, okay? That's not horrible, not on the crosswalk, but still, stop at the bar. So let's use this as an example. We're gonna take off with this Mitsubishi in front of us. I know the sun is in your face. I apologize. Be cleared here in soon. But Mitsubishi accelerates rather quickly. I don't need to keep up with them. There's nothing that says I have to keep up with them. But look at the distance here. Really nice. I'm already doing 50. They're doing 50. I don't have to be with them. But then watch this other car. So the Prius comes up. Still very good distance. But when we get to the light up here, I have a feeling we're all going to stack up. We'll end this by showing how I feel you should be coming to stops so that you're not tailgating, so that you're not following too closely. And that big one, that number 3, that a lot of people don't talk about, tailgating limits your ability to get to a safe location. So I'm going to come to a stop at this stoplight. I'm already slowing down. I'm looking up ahead, and I don't want to be so close. Remember, whenever you come to a stop, you want to be able to see the tires of the vehicle in front of you. So we're here. I'm going to line the camera up with it. Boom. Safe distance. Some would be like, man, Steve, you're far back. I'm really not. If I could show you a better way, I would. But if you look here, a little further, and they would be good too. But for the most part, those cars are in really, really good shape when it comes to the distance that they stopped at. Traveling, we have to be extra cautious. Remember, I'm preaching the 3-second rule here so that we can prevent crashes, we can prevent secondary crashes, and you as a driver have an ability to leave that location if it's no longer safe. All about creating safe opportunities for any driver. So, for those that were joining us today, I appreciate it. You guys tuned in on tailgating, what the causes are, what the problems are, how to avoid it, what you should do when in type of that situation. Obviously, change lanes, just leave them. If someone's tailgating you, there is zero reason for you to interact with them. Change lanes and let them go. Because I promise, the ticket karma is going to issue to them is going to be 1,000,000 times bigger than the crash, or better, I would say, than the crash that is going to occur with you. So thanks, guys, for joining us on this beautiful Thursday. New 6 at 9 starts in just a few, and we'll have a nice little recap there. You guys have an amazing day. Do not tailgate. Follow at a safe distance, and please have a great day.